And I think that is live. Are we live? Let me just double check that. If we are, hello there, and welcome to the first channel live stream. It's taken a bit to get this going. I'd like to say I started this at 10 o'clock. It was probably a bit closer to 1:15. I just want to check that the audio is coming through loud and clear. If you are watching this, let me know in the chat. Can you hear me? Can you hear everything going on? Let me get a little bit. Probably like that is a bit better, so you can see me and rather than the white wall in the background. I got an ad on my own stream. That's not good. It doesn't sound like it's too loud, so perhaps I can try and turn it up, but I'll be completely honest, I have no idea how to do that. So for this week, this will be good, and this is a bit of an impromptu stream. I have a ton of sets. I posted something for members, which I cannot tell you what it is. It's currently sat on my shelf and looks really, really good. But I posted something for members yesterday, and I think it was Soybean mentioned that if they got around to sorting their parts, it would be great. And I have a load of sets basically that I haven't sorted. I can see a few of you popping up in the chat. Hello. I am basically going to talk about a few things as I break down my sets. I thought on a live stream, I can't not break down the sets. And I don't just have these sets over here. You might have seen the thumbnail, which was just a quick photo taken. I have a whole bag of Lego sets that I need to break down. So I thought this week and at least next week, I think next week we'll be a bit more prepared. I am going to order a bit more equipment and a mic so you might be able to hear me better. But we're going to spend this Monday and next Monday breaking down some Lego sets. And how big is the Gonk army? The Gonks have actually been put up there. I'm not sure if you can see it on camera again. Hopefully we can get, I don't know if I'll be able to connect my phone and show you around a bit more, but I have put all 9 of the Gonks on top of that display, and they do look pretty cool. They don't actually all fit. I think the Count Dooku one is hidden behind them, but they're definitely up there. I don't know if you can zoom in on a screen, but it doesn't matter because I am using an old webcam. Let me put this down for now. An old webcam. I was trying to stream off my phone, and I think it came up as one of the short lives, which could be something I do in the future, but I'd rather it be a bit horizontal so you can actually see me. But like I said, it's an old webcam, so it's got a sort of fish eye effect, but it also means, because I'm not streaming off my phone, that it's not zooming in trying to autofocus, because I really need a camera if I'm going to do this a bit more. But like I said, we're going to be breaking down sets today. I've got a few things to talk about. I first want to talk about the unfinished project as well, but before I get into that, we do have a brand new member. KK has joined. I printed a red tile because I completely used all of my blue filament. I completely forgot that I was trying to keep these all blue. So any members, try and get better angles you see without the glare there. Any members from now on will get a red tile, and this stream actually will be turned into a video. I'll post a few highlights tomorrow because, well, I'm not sure everyone's going to want to watch the stream, but these will be kept up. I haven't decided yet if they'll be members only or if they'll be for everyone. Hello there in the chat, and I guess that's just for me to decide in the next 24 hours, but there will be a highlight reel of all the important bits from this stream. I'll keep the members board just down here, and I guess we can just start with breaking down sets. Speaking of the unfinished products, and I had a list of things to get through, or a list of projects. There's going to be a lot of me tongue-tying myself. A list of projects that I haven't finished off. First off, Christophsis. You might realize, I don't know if you can see it, just down here there is, well, not Christophsis anymore. I've moved the base plates. They are just behind me. I don't think I'll be going ahead with the big Christophsis build. It is starting to look like an Imperial rank. It looks quite cool, actually, I will say. I'm in an in last night when I printed off the brand new tile about rearranging it, but I really like the rows, and so far it's worked out quite well because all of the names, I don't know if you can see it? There we go. All of the names have fit. We've got a 4 tile, 6, 6. So as long as the next person that becomes a member needs a 6 tile space, it's working quite well. I don't know what I'd do if I have a gap. I'll probably just, like with KK here, just print an oversized tile. But I really do like how the members board is coming along. And again, this members board is not going to be upgraded. Once this runs out of space, this is the first members board done. And, well, we can fit probably about twice as many names that are on there. So if you did want to become a member, get access to exclusive videos, and there's so much that members get. We've got the Discord running for members, which is quite a bit of fun. I can't wait for that to take off. I think there's a milestone we're near it. I think we've got about 4 or 5 active members on the channel. So shout out to all of you, especially Soybean, who's in the chat right now. And once we get, I think it's 8 active members, we unlock a few more emojis. We've got a thumbs up and thumbs down emoji. We've got, there's something else that members get as well as the stud next to their names, which you'll see there's a few different colored ones now. We've got the Discord, we've got the instructions over on Discord. Members do get instructions for absolutely no extra cost. They're already paying for a membership, you might as well get all of that. I'm planning on adding decals to the members tier actually, and I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do that, but all the ones I designed so far, I've only designed Dooku's exquisite pajamas, which is a really fun minifigure, but I've got a few other themes coming up. I'll tease a few now. There's I'm working on the mini dolls minifigures actually for the Wednesday and Wicked themes, which I think could be a bit interesting, and there's a few other themes outside of Star Wars. A membership starts, so I think the most expensive one is with the instructions, and it's £3-4. I should be able to get it up. I think it's a couple of quid. The cheapest that it let me pick was, I think, £2. I have seen memberships for £1 or £1 something, but the cheapest you can start off with is £2. It gives you a few default tiers that you can opt into. You have to choose one, and I'm pretty sure the cheapest was £2. It might be £1. Let me just double check, so I'm giving you the correct information. We have 2 tiers. The top tier accesses everything plus instructions, and the bottom tier still gets you access to the Discord, to the named tile, to absolutely everything but the instructions. And I might save the decals for the higher tier, but at the same point, I'm not quite sure how I'll work them, because I would like to get them in a video, but you can only include, I suppose you could screenshot it in videos. It would just be the high-res versions that I'm saving for memberships. So we do have 2 membership tiers. Can I see how much they are? I'm not sure if anyone remembers in the chat. If you look on the, where it says subscribe, I think there should be a join button, and you can get all the different things. And I did do an intro video. It's a little bit outdated. Here we are. So you've got stud tier, which is 99p. I did manage to change it. I think originally when we started the membership, it was £2, but it's 99p for the stud tier. Gets you access to emojis, loyalty badges, priority reply, access to the members Discord. You will get an invite. I might have to update that. You get an invite when you become a member, and that is an exclusive invite to members. And don't worry about it being shared or anything like that, because I've actually connected Discord to YouTube, so anyone can technically join the Discord, but only members can access the channels, which is super helpful. We've also got the exclusivity, the exclusive videos even, which are behind the scenes. I'm going to record one in the next few days, but we get early videos as well, or you get early videos, which is just whenever I'm working on a project that I might not have the video out for a week. It might be because a movie's coming out in a week's time, like these custom minifigures. I'll probably be working on them ahead of time. Thank you to our moderator, my fiance, in the chat. 99p for stud tier, £2.99 for brick tier members. And the brick tier members get the instructions, get the high-res decals, possibly, and also priority reply. Goes for all the members. When I'm looking through the comments at the end of the day, I think there are a few that I didn't respond to this morning, so I'll get to that after the stream. But whenever I am replying to comments, I always try to go for members first. So usually members are the only ones that get notified anyway. So you also get priority reply, but I do try to respond to everyone still. It'll be definitely a bigger perk. Well, definitely a bigger perk when we've got many more people watching the videos. But anyway, I haven't even started breaking down any of the sets. We've got a lot to get through, and a few of these, like these recent ones here from the new battle pack. Well, these are my mock-ups from the battle pack. I do kind of want to keep built for a little bit, which is why I didn't whack them in the bag. I was thinking on it. I think I decided last night that I'm going to break them down. I can always rebuild them if I want to. Well, actually, I do want to pick up the set for this at some point. The only reason I'm not doing it now is because it's a Lego exclusive. It's not going to go on. I don't see this going on sale even over Christmas. A load of people are wondering if this is going to go out of stock by the end of the year or retire by the end of the year. Definitely will go out of stock at many points. I see this being a very popular set, and it's nothing to do with the anniversary minifigure. But I'm actually putting this away for May. I'm going to add this to my May order. Hopefully buy enough Lego to get a gift with purchase. I'm interested in what they do for the May 4th promo. We'll talk about that as I'm breaking this down. But I have decided that I'm going to break these down. And I have a few trays dotted around. I have this giant one that my brother got me for Christmas, actually. And it's really, really handy when you're sorting bulk amounts of Lego. But I think for these sets, I can just part them out on the desk and we'll go from there. Anyway, let's get into breaking this down. So the May 4th promo is going to be an interesting one next year because I don't think we've had any rumors. No rumors I can think of, at least. I'm trying to stay on top of rumors. There are so many sets right now. For the January wave, I think I had a look on Lego.com. We've got one set and one rumored gift with purchase for November. We'll probably have a few gift with purchases over the Christmas holiday just to entice people to buy the sets that you've been looking at for so long. And there's a few good Christmas sets actually out there. So I'd like to see a few Christmas gift with purchases. They might tempt me to pick up a few. There's definitely a few of the newer ones that are looking quite cool. But you can always wait until the Christmas sale. But for next year's Star Wars gift with purchase, the May 4th one, I think, how long ago was it that we had the Aunt Brew kitchen? That was Luke's land speeder, which must have been 20, was that 22? I think that was the 22 one, the X Mansion. Oh, I'll get onto that in a second because you know what? It's one of those sets, the 2022, thank you. It's one of the sets, the X Mansion, that might tempt me, although I've been saying that about a load of the Marvel sets, especially the Daily Bugle. But we got Brew's Kitchen in 2022. Last year, I think we had a bit of a... I don't remember. What did we get last year for the gift with purchase? And then this year, we got the Droid Carrier, which was... It was a set. It should have been a set, and it definitely was a really fun set to have. But they're giving a load of... Oh, the Death Star. Yes, I think I've got that built in the bag, actually. That's one of the sets that I'm taking down because I just don't have the room to display it. Let me have a little look. But we've been getting a load of sets recently, and I do think they're going to continue it, but we were rumored to get a Star Wars sign, and it would be interesting. Oh, look at that. Right on top, we got the Death Star. It'll be intriguing to see if we do get more of a set. People want the return of minifigures. I think the droids, well, we got Aunt Beru in the set. That's not quite what people mean. I don't think that's what people mean when they say they want minifigures. But never drink of water. I'm going to be talking a lot in this stream, and this is stuff that you usually see cut out of videos, me having to take a drinks break and me going on so many different tangents. But I think it would be really nice if we got perhaps a clone set. Actually, this is a good idea. We could get a clone set matches to Revenge of the Sith, which would be really, really cool. And also gives us minifigures that they can give in a different style of set. I don't know how I'm going to really explain this without thinking about it. But it gives us, like with the Death Star, this match to Return of the Jedi. They didn't throw in a Palpatine, a Vader. We get enough Vaders in Lego sets. But they didn't make a Palpatine figure or a Luke Skywalker exclusive. They're too popular. Likewise, we won't be getting Wolf, Rex, Gregor, I mean, they don't really apply to Revenge of the Sith anyways. That's going on a bit of a tangent, but we're not going to get any of them minifigures, but just 501st Clone Troopers or 212 Clone Troopers, or even if they wanted to do something a bit more on the exclusive side, we've got so many 501st, 212 minifigures. They could give us some 91st Clone Troopers and have some sort of battle pack be the promo. That way, we're getting minifigures, we're getting what feels like a Lego set, but then they can include them later on in the year in a different set. Perhaps fewer of them and not as many minifigures, but just so they're not exclusive minifigures, because having that droid carrier set was really, really cool and made so many people spend the threshold because they want a ton of droids. And I think there's another rumored gift with purchase for Lego Ideas, and I think it was a bookcase or something. I'm terrible with remembering Lego sets, but we'll see official images of it soon, and I'm sure I'll probably be speaking about it in either November's or December's releases video. But something like that, the clones being released early with an exclusive commander, is really the perfect gift with purchase, because there was some sort of bookcase. I can't remember exactly what the thing was about it, but because it was a bookcase, loads of little pieces, and basically it would be a really cool, affordable set for like 20, 25 quid probably. But because of the little pieces involved, it's not a set. It's like the architecture sets. The architectures are probably about the size of this. You can also get the postcard sets, which are a bit more pricey for the pieces, and they're not very worth the pieces, which is why they have, for the postcard specifically, they have the printed tile at the bottom of where the postcard is from. And you've also got, I can't remember the architecture sets. I think you get some exclusive printed pieces in that. The reason they do that is to up the value and so they can make a bit more money, because each of the pieces are so much to make. They're going to cost for Lego to package them, so they need to make their money back somehow. And something like the clones this way, you could get what would have been an affordable battle pack perhaps like 10, 15 years ago. Now wouldn't be, because of the detail on it. If we take I don't know where my Clone Walker, something like this, the Clone Walker battle pack, for instance, if they were to release something like this nowadays with the double seats, it's not going to be an affordable battle pack, because they're not going to use 120 pieces, probably about 100 and something pieces to make this. They're going to use 200 and nearly 50 pieces like we saw with the bigger ATRT Walker, and they can't afford to put that out for 15, 20. You know what, it'd probably be a really good £25 set, but Lego would struggle to make a load of them and make a decent profit to put to future sets. And then you've got all the investor side and everything like that. But what they could do is release it with clones that at the time are exclusive. We've seen it with Captain Rex. Minifigures don't tend to be exclusive to the cheaper sets. They tend to be exclusive to the expensive sets, the UCS sets, the gift with purchases, and then they come out later on. We've also seen it with, well, we saw it even with the CMF. CMFs are very minifigure heavy though, and that's a whole another conversation. But something like a clone battle pack would be a really cool gift with purchase. Some exclusive clones in there that release later on in the year. We also got it with the 212 in the gunship. We saw them in an expensive set. Yes, not a UCS set. A UCS gunship doesn't come with that many clones as we've seen, but it came with, I'm pretty sure the gunship came with a handful of clones, and then we got them in the battle pack, which was a great strategy from Lego, because it made loads of people want the gunship and then want the battle pack to fill the gunship. And that's the way it's going to work. I think if we got it as a gift with purchase and then got a set later on, it also gives people a reason not to stock up on gift with purchases, but then to go and buy more sets. And it's affordable, much, much more affordable way of army building than trying to source a ton of gift with purchases. It doesn't matter if you're buying that much Lego, or even if you're buying them afterwards from people on Bricklink and stuff like that. It's going to be much, much more affordable to buy them as sets later on. But now with the, what set was it? Someone asked about a set. Oh, the X-Men Mansion. Yes, of course. The Sentinel, I see it being re-released, and the reason I see it being re-released is Cable and Jubilee would be sick minifigures. But the reason I see it being re-released is because that's what they did with the Leviathan from the Avengers Tower, and I think that is quite a good thing to do. I think we saw it. We saw it. What was the other? Oh no, it was a taxi with the Avengers Tower. But we saw the Leviathan re-released with Hulk made more affordable. I think Loki was in that set as well. That might have been the set that Loki got the updated cape in, but I'm not entirely sure with Marvel. I struggle keeping up with Star Wars, let alone Marvel, a lot of the time. But I don't really know how I'm going to sort this into the drawers. But the X-Men Mansion looks really, really cool. And I like the minifigures that they chose. There are definitely a few things that I would have done differently. I think everyone can say that about any sort of Lego set. And it is a bit hard when Lego are trying to market for X-Men sets in particular, because you've got like Wolverine's claws that they did instead of the helmets, because it's a bit like the Red 5 helmet we got with I think it was Red 5. I think it was Luke's helmet that was just a hollowed out helmet. The Batman cowl, they don't seem to be selling as well because they don't look as cool on your shelves as actual helmets. And I've seen a few people, like I did with Rex just behind me, build a bigger fig with Luke's face, which looks cool. But the X-Men Mansion is more of a city build. It's a bit like the Strange Sanctorum, but even Strange's Sanctorum had that Marvel feel to it. It's a bit like the Agatha show at the minute. It is Marvel, but it feels in its own area. It feels more witchy than Marvel. So when they name dropped the Avengers in the last episode, it was a bit jolting of, oh, it is the same universe. But I like the mention. I think I like the mention mainly for the references and not the actual style of the mention, because it is a mention and it does fit in with Lego Cities, which, well, I say it fits in with Lego Cities. It would be a pain to place in a Lego City. It'd probably fit better in mine than most Lego Cities. But the actual X-Mansion, it does look, what would I search? Let's get up on Lego first. It does look decent. I think they've struggled trying to find the balance between a playset and a what we would call in Star Wars UCS sets. And for something like the X-Mansion that isn't on the release page, oh, maybe it's under pre-order, or but something like the X-Mansion should have been, it shouldn't have been a playset, but it shouldn't have been a complete back set, I think. And that price is doing it a little dirty. Rather than completing the back, I think add a little bit more depth. You might even get a few. Oh, no problem, Soybean. What time is it? I'm rubbish with different times because it's morning here. I think most of America is asleep, which is a awkward time to be streaming because that's where the big audience on YouTube is. But at the same point, it's the point where no one else is streaming, so I can get in here and have these quiet streams. But have a good night. Oh, speaking of, I found the mention. So we've got, I think they should have opened back 4 in the morning. That is crazy. I think for the X-Men Mansion, they should have opened up the back of it and made it a bit deeper. You'd have people complaining. The problem is the collectors would complain that they haven't filled in the back, and you could be looking at a set that, okay, I think the Lego sites just crashed. We'll come back to that later. Anyway, I think the fact that they've sealed up the back is the right thing to do, but I don't think it's for me. But the minifigures, we're looking at Gambit. We're looking at, I think there's a few that they've reused from the Jet. I like how few they have reused. Cyclops has updated legs. Magneto's got the red suit with the helmet that we used to seeing in the movies compared to the animated show. So they have mixed it up a little bit. Iceman as well is really, really cool, because they gave so I grew up with the Amazing Spider-Man and Friends, I think it was. I can't remember what it was, but it was Firestar and Iceman. Iceman obviously being the mutant in the X-Men. I think Iceman does show up in the movies as well. He's one of the somewhat main characters. But we got Firestar in the Daily Bugle, So to get Iceman, it does complete the trio, and I think that's pretty cool. And they're the main two figures, or main three if you include Magneto. Gambit, Iceman, and Magneto do look pretty cool. And they're the ones that I'm missing from my run. I don't know if you've seen my X-Men. It was a while ago I made this now, but I made a video creating custom X-Men, and I made Gambit, which does look pretty decent, but I still want the official version. Mainly the element that includes the cards as well. That looks really cool. Morph, Cyclops. They're minifigures you can make using other parts. Cyclops, of course, had to be included because he's a main character. But I would have liked to seen a few more other ones. Storm we got in the CMF. The version of Storm that we've got is definitely an improvement. I'd argue an improvement on the CMF, the updated skin tone, the different hair, and the yellow outline on the cape piece does look amazing. And besides that, I think the other characters, Jean's a pretty good addition, actually. I don't think we've seen Jean in a Lego set at all. I think there was a Comic-Con exclusive. I remember seeing minifigure superheroes today video, I think it was, that we saw. It does look really, really cool that we saw a Phoenix version in an old Comic-Con exclusive. But Charles is a very easy minifigure. It's definitely hard to say what Lego should and shouldn't do because they're the ones with a budget. But I think I'd have taken no leg printing on Cyclops. I'd have taken Rogue. Doesn't need to be in the set. She was in the jet. Same with Magneto, actually, because they've included the X-Men 97, which I would argue relates more to the mansion than the movie one. Magneto didn't really need to come in this set. Perhaps we could get him in a set later on, or perhaps Magneto could be in the gift with purchase, and then they've got the figure for later on, because I do believe it's the same helmet mold as was used decades ago, pretty much a decade ago at this point. But I think some of the figures are cool. Some of the figures are a bit of a letdown, especially when they're in the X-Men jet that is out right now. So I don't think I will be picking it up, but it's definitely, I've fallen quite a bit behind on chat here. It's definitely in my peripheral, but I think I'll go for the Daily Bugle first. So imagine how many more sets we'd get for Marvel and DC if they were counted as separate themes. That is a big problem because superheroes is, and I'd whack Spider-Man in there as well, and sometimes Ninjago. The Legacy Ninjago magazine, I think, is paired up with the Batman magazine, which definitely does hurt it. I think Legacy could be its own theme. I know loads of people still like the classic Ninjago stuff. It's a bit like Bionicle. Bionicle still has a massive fan base. The Legacy Ninjago, the core themes, we're talking about the snakes, the skeleton, God, don't want to mess them up, and all the early villains like Garmadon still have massive fan bases, and they could have their own magazine lines. Batman is still its own theme. Well, DC, Batman, it tends to be more so Batman than DC, which is another issue entirely, but it tends to be Batbike, Batmobile, Batwing, like a Batboat. I don't know the different names of all the different Batmobiles, Batmoboats, Batmoplanes, and all that. But it does. DC, I think, especially, is at the worst end of this superheroes theming, because there are a ton of different ideas, superhero sets as well, that I see make it to the end. Well, not a ton. Usually it's more Barbie houses and Taylor Swift houses. But there are a few superhero things. I think because of Marvel, because of DC, they take a similar idea and shift it into a theme like Marvel that they know is going to sell a bit more. And there are definitely a few other superhero things out there, not just movies, not just comics, but a lot of them that they could be doing. Spider-Man gets whacked in with Marvel quite a bit. Spider-Man tends to come with a Hulk minifigure or an Iron Man minifigure. Funnily enough, I think the cheap 4+ set includes just Iron Man and Hulk out of the new ones. But Spider-Man does tend to be mixed up in the other Marvel sets. And I would like to see a few more Batman sets in the style of Spider-Man. We did get a Batcave, which did look really cool. And that was sort of the Daily Bugle-esque. But they did it in the style of a shadow box, which I think more people would have preferred a giant Batcave playset, because the biggest playsets we get are the Batmobiles, and they're not all playsets. The recent animated Batman show, which I did start watching, and then I fell behind with, let's keep breaking this down. I'm going to completely get distracted throughout these first few streams of what I'm meant to be doing. But the recent Batmobile we got is definitely more of a display piece than a play piece, because, well, it comes with the stand, it comes with, I'm pretty sure in saying it comes with a plaque as well. And then we've got another Batmobile that's a bit bigger for the, I guess, the more expensive collectors, the collectors of the more expensive sets. Batman doesn't really seem like a good play set, so it's definitely missing a few of the play sets, and I think that is because of the Avengers theme is doing so well. There's no point trying to make the Batman sets compete with the Avengers sets if Avengers is already making them money. And I know DC in general has a few marketing issues that it's still trying to overcome, because that's not just something we see with Lego. It's not a Lego problem, because they design what they're told to design for the most part. I know they have a bit more freedom with Star Wars when it comes to designing sets, but the Star Wars team trusts the Lego team enough to come up with pretty much anything, whereas Batman is still one of the themes that is, I feel like it's still growing. I don't know if I can say that because of how long the theme has been out, but it's still got quite a bit to go in terms of, I think Batman, the Batman Lego games have cemented it in Lego history, if you will. But the sets, there's only a handful of sets I think I can turn around. And I will say the giant Batmobiles, the Batman Tumbler is definitely one of those sets. But the Batman theme is more of a collector's line, I think, than an actual play theme at the end of the day, which is unfortunate, but at least we got the Avengers to keep us afloat. I mean, looking at the figures, I've done a video recently on all my Marvel minifigures, and I whacked DC in there because I do group them together in the superheroes bracket. But I've got 5 rows of Marvel figures and only 1 row of Batman figs, of which 2 Jokers, we've got 3 Batmans. Actually, I've got 3, 4, 1 in the city. I got like 5, 6 Batmans, and they're really all over the place. But we definitely need a few more DC minifigures. Jean is definitely the most forgotten minifigure as well from the X-Men ones. Oh, that's a good point. The Muppets. I didn't get a load of the Muppets CMF minifigures. I don't remember the ones that I got, but the green, yeah, the green shirt. I know which one. I'd know the green shirt from the Muppets, which sounds a bit crazy when I couldn't remember the other piece from earlier. But I was looking, there was another one as well. There was someone else from, I think it was one of the Lego CMF. I have all my CMF minifigures in a bag after removing them from my display, but there are some really good, I think, CMF parts in general. That's something with the X-Men ones. So we got a Wolverine in the CMF line, and I do agree that Lego shouldn't be re-releasing him, the exact minifigure, in any other sets. But it does make it a bit hard when they go all out for a CMF, dual molded legs, printed arms, and then we lose the printed arms, we lose the dual molded legs, and I guess it's a way that Lego can always improve. They go 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and it's not true for Lego. It's true for absolutely everything. But it would be interesting to see where they could go past it, because once they've given everyone dual molded and printed arms, dual molded, printed, side of the leg printing, legs, and, well, we got torso printing front and back. Not every character does need that. I guess we've got different helmet molds they could try out. And I do think with the Iron Man minifigure saw a helmet design upgrade. Something like that is how Lego keep it fresh, because we went from getting quite decently printed legs, printed torsos and accessories for them, and then they upgraded their helmets. And the reason why I think a load of people were unsure about it is because them helmet upgrades took away from the rest of the minifigure, because they were using that new element. I'm pretty certain in saying at least a few of the War Machines I remember were losing leg printing, arm printing. I think the War Machine in the mech didn't have any leg printing as well, but that could be because of the price of the set. But it is. There's definitely a balance between Well, there's a balance between minifigures and sets that has to be discussed first. How much do you put into the minifigures? Because you'll only have so much budget for minifigures, as far as we understand when you're designing a Lego set. I haven't designed a Lego set. I do have an idea set actually, which I probably should plug a bit more. So when this gets uploaded into highlights, I'll probably have a section talking about that because I've completely forgotten about my Lego idea set. I have no idea how that's doing. But Marvel, I think DC definitely needs a few upgrades, but hopefully soon with the Guardians. James Gunn, is it the Guardians director? I love the Guardians movies. With him taking over from DC, hopefully they can get on top of their marketing team because they're remaking Superman. We've had the recent Batman. I don't know if they'll go for another Batman anytime soon. I think they can leave it a few years before another Batman, and that can give Lego DC time to step away from Batman's shadow and make sets for Superman. For we didn't get any for Blue Beetle, which I think is a bit of a letdown. I haven't seen Blue Beetle, so I don't know if I do like the movie enough yet to want sets of it. But it would be cool to get different characters from the comics, even if they just do comic characters that go alongside with the movies. I think they did it. I think they did it for Wonder Woman. They did a few comic sets for the movie, which then tied into the second movie. Again, I don't really follow it as well as most other themes to know, but they definitely need things like dual molded legs, dual molded arms, and stuff like that on the expensive sets. I think that's what I think collectors definitely prefer action figures to Lego figures, if that makes sense. Making Batman from the DC focus on the Bat family. That would be cool as well. Expand on Batman. We've seen a few. I don't remember the last time we've got a Robin excluding. Well, no, he didn't come in the big set actually. He doesn't come in the Batmobile. But I don't know the last time we've got a Robin or a Batwoman. It'd be cool to get a load more of the Bat family, as you said in the chat there, because it is lacking. There's only so many times I think you can get a set with Batman in and be excited for Batman. Now I'm looking at who else is with Batman. I've got enough Batman minifigures. I don't have all the Batman minifigures by any means, but I've got enough for me. I've got a blue costume. Do I have a blue costume? I might not have a blue costume. I've got a black costume. I've got a dark grey, a light grey, a lighter grey, a darker grey. There's only so many greys and blacks, and I think with Star Wars, I complain a lot with Star Wars about the greys, the blacks, and something like the T6, which I saw the other day was half price somewhere, but it was out of stock. So I guess I won't be picking that up just yet. But if it's half price already, coming up to Black Friday and Christmas sales, keep an eye out for the T6 if you don't have it already. I know the Ahsoka and the Sabine minifigures are elsewhere, but that Hyang is going to be pretty expensive in the future. But what was I talking about? The greys and the blacks. It's disappointing when they leave out something like the back of the T6, the underside of the T6, and just have it as a grey side of the ship. It's the bottom, but then it's the side when it flips up. It wouldn't be a problem like the Ghost. The Ghost is very white and grey on the underside, which is probably in universe as well for all I know. But I don't know. We see the underside much in Rebels, but the ship itself is very colourful on top. The T6, when it's flipped up in a flying position, when it's played with, it's going to have that ugly grey side. Batman can't escape that. Batman is dark. I like what they're doing with the blues from the animated series, but it's a Red Hood. There are so many Nightwing and other characters from Batman that have showed up in Lego games. I don't know if we've got a Lego short for Batman yet, but so many other characters that could show up. And I feel like that's what they need to sort of drum home more so than the sets. The sets are going to be black. They're going to be grey. They're going to be Batmobiles and the like. And you can get a few different Joker ships and stuff like that. But I think the big point for Batman should be the characters, because it's a lot of crime fighting. It's a very you know, two minifigures clashing rather than this Star Wars ship flying through the sky. So minifigures definitely have to be. If I was in charge of the Batman theme, which yeah, I don't think I could do as good a job as Lego for all I'm complaining about it. Talking about it's one thing, actually being in control of a theme is a whole nother thing. Perhaps I could add some color into the Batman theme or some giant Star Wars rainbow 8080 for the Batman to drive. But I think that the big focus needs to be in the. I'm just picturing a giant rainbow 8080 being driven by the Joker or something now. Oh dear. But the big focus needs to be on the minifigures. It does have to be away from the blacks, the greys, and everything else, and towards what they can control. I guess Batman, it's getting away from Batman, if that makes sense. We've seen so many Batman minifigures have one set of Batman, and that is it. Pick a Batmobile or a Batwing, and then leave Batman for the rest of the year. To be fair, I think one Batman set, maybe two Batman sets a year. We'll have one at the start, but then you've got 4+ sets. You've got your 12+ sets, your 16+ sets, your 18+ sets. We'll give one of each. We'll have 4 Batman sets every year, and then we can have time for Red Hood, Superman, and all the other DC characters, because DC is a lot more than just Batman, Superman. They're the big ones. They're the money makers. But I definitely think we could have a few other, even if it's like the Brickheads, we got an 8-in-1. We could have some characters that have one torso piece or one helmet that swaps out, and they're a different version of the character. I'd like to see that a bit more in Lego sets. We've seen it with the D&D line, and we've seen it somewhere else as well as breakfast time. To be fair, it's not far off breakfast time for me. Have fun. Thank you for chiming in with a stream and keeping this bit going for so long, because it is really interesting talking about all the different superhero parts. And this should be up as a video if you want to come back. Take note of the time. We're about 42 minutes in, and hopefully you'll be able to watch it or catch the highlights, to be fair, because I don't think I'm going to be breaking down all of these in the one video. I had the 2 streams planned for this week and then one for next week in a week's time, but I think I'll probably be doing a bit of this in the background as well. And I'm going to spend a quick second just talking about how I am sorting out this Lego, because you'll notice that I'm laying it out in different piles. So we've got the 1x1 snot bricks, we've got these ladder elements, we've got some cone pieces right in the middle, and that's a lot easier for me to then pick up something like the cone pieces, go over to the drawer that they're in, put them in, and sort it that way. I know some people like sorting by color, by shape sizes. What's the code is live? But yeah, I just prefer sorting into specific pieces, and I try and not mix the colors, but I have noticed I've mixed a lot of the colors. We got a gray pile here, we got a red pile here, dark gray pile here. But I'll be honest, I'm focusing more on what I'm saying at the end of the day. We haven't even spoken about the unfinished projects that I'm not getting around to doing. So let me bring up that list, because I started writing these down, seeing how many projects I haven't finished that I have started at some point, and said mainly that I've said on video that I am going to start. And I'm not talking about the giant minifigure scale Star Destroyer 100k subs. We're a bit off 100k subs, just a little bit, but I am still planning on doing that. I'm speaking about the Christophsis mock, which I've now taken the base plates down because, well, it's going to take a lot of pieces, and I'm trying to do a few other things in the background, and I just don't see myself making a giant mock of anything anytime soon. Perhaps I can in the future, but it's probably going to be more of a showcase where I show off all the different models. I'll have a scene on the desk, but I don't think giant, and this is something I will do going forward, not just with Christophsis, but with a few other things. I don't think Lego mocks have to be base plated down, built up a few bricks, you know, mills plated, that sort of thing. I think a Lego mock can be, and we see it a few times, well, I see it a few times at conventions through videos that I watch and bits like that. They can just be different parts of a build arranged on a table with a few minifigures, you know, probably well, if it's a clone mock, it's definitely going to be a ton of minifigures, but a few minifigures here and there to add a feel to the scene and more of a model display than a Lego set, if that makes sense. You see the X Mansion, for instance. We'll take that. We've talked about that quite a bit in this stream, and I keep forgetting this isn't a video, so I do apologize if I am missing any of your comments in chats and it takes me a second to get to them. But with the X Mansion, it's a very blocky build, and I think rather than trying to have that foreground, because I've seen a few people build and review the X Mansion. I think it was Brixie that said he's going to end up changing the base anyway if he wants to implement it. It's not, Lego sets don't come on a base that's ready to go into a city. A lot of the time they don't even come on mills plated designs and stuff like that, which is the most common, well, as far as the internet will tell you, the most common way to display your city sets. So I think Lego rightfully aren't necessarily worried about that because they know that people are going to change it anyway, and they're trying to make it fit on shorter display shelves rather than build it out. I'm sure someone will buy like 5 of these X Mansions and build some sort of minifigure scale model with a sentinel that's like the height of this table here. And I look forward to seeing whoever wants to do that. By the way, we have broke down our first model after 45 minutes, 47, but I'm going to say 45 minutes. So I think that counts as a success. If we can get these 3 models done, I'm only planning on being live for another half an hour or so. But if we can get these 3 models down, they're a lot less part intensive. And hopefully we can stack up a few different pieces. I'm going to call that a success. And we'll start working on that bag next week. I don't remember where I put the Death Star build either, so I have to look for that. But something like the X Mansion isn't going to be, I forgot what I was saying now about the bases. Oh, isn't going to be the sort of set that should have a massive courtyard with the swimming pool lake bit and the basketball court and all the different things, because it's just going to be way too expensive way too quickly. And I don't think many people would be buying a giant slab of green tiles and plates. What I think instead they should do, which they have done for a few of the different promotional images, and when they're showing off a set, when you go to a Lego store, all the minifigures aren't studied down to a part of the plate. Even for some of the modular buildings are actually tried to keep within the margins of them. But like I say, they're more aimed towards city builders and people that want to maybe not build a full city. A city doesn't have to be a giant table like we see with Brixie's warehouse. That is massive. But I have my city on a shelf. I have a few buildings on the back, a few roads. There's someone that I've seen that has a really good city display, and I can't remember their name. But if I can find a clip, I'll whack it when this becomes a video. And I feel like I'm going to be doing a lot of that style of editing for these sort of streams. But with the displays in Lego stores, so that's where we were. With the displays in Lego stores, they tend to put the minifigures around the set. We see it with something like the Orient Express, which I know has been in a video. They had all the people sort of lined up in front of the train, not even on the platform. I don't know if it comes with a platform. Maybe it doesn't come with a platform. Maybe that's the Hogwarts Express that comes with a platform. But they have the minifigures dotted around the build to give it a bit more of a structure. It's like when you're creating a map for a fantasy world, which I haven't done, so I am just talking out my bum at this point. But it's like when you're creating a map, you don't want it to be nice squared off edges, and you're not going to use something like a bottle to create this nice round island. Most people throw down a bit of rice or have something that they throw down that's somewhat randomized, or will splash a bit of paper with a coffee stain, something like that, that creates this very unique, seemingly random, potentially random shape on the paper, because it just looks, but I don't know what it is, because if something's lined up perfectly, it looks satisfying. But if something's the opposite and is completely unperfect, I know some people don't enjoy that, but I think that's almost as good as if it was lined up perfectly. It's definitely a bit odd. I have a few different minifigures on the shelves up here, and a lot of my minifigures are lined up like they're taking a school photo, like you saw in the video. But then I've got the poly bags that are just dotted around all at different angles, and I've not tried to keep them at the same angle. We've got some Yoshis over there that are just standing in the middle of the helmet, seemingly random again, and I haven't placed them down with any intent. I've just placed them down because there was a gap, and there's something about that that definitely does. I don't know if it's as satisfying. Satisfying is probably not the correct word, but it's definitely as fitting as the rest of the minifigures lined up. You know what? We've gone almost an hour without dropping Lego. I think that is a room record for me breaking down a set. But rather than having the base plate marks, back to Christophsis. I won't be building Christophsis as a base. I do have a somewhat Christophsis, say that 10 times fast, display still, because all that shelf, besides the gunship, is themed Christophsis, and I don't have my AV7 because that's in pieces on my top shelf. But that is staying built. That's not going to be broken down with these sets. And it does look pretty good. I'm looking at the completely wrong shelf. It does look pretty good. Both shelves do look pretty good. And I would like to put a few minifigures dotted around. I've got my Bark Speeder. I've added my Clone Walker to the shelf just to give it a bit of depth. I'm going to pile up some of the crates from the battle pack we got at the start of the year. The Clone one, I think it was. Was it the Clone? No, the Mandalorian one. It was the Mandalorian one that the crates came in. And I've got a few of them dotted around and a few gonks on my shelf, just to add a bit of depth to my displays rather than just having a few ships squared up. And it's trying to find that balance of too much and too little. And I do think I've been watching quite a few of Coconut Brick Studios mocks, and I really like some of the detail going into it. Not to say that they just put a few base plates together, but I feel like the structure of it is very squared off, very base plate, and very fitted with a table, which works for what they are trying to do. And especially with some of the bases, they are quite squarey builds, I guess. But it's not the style of it. That's the quality I'd like to be making, but not in that way. I don't know if this is making any sense, but I don't want to be making squared off mocks. I don't want to be making squared off mocks and trying to fit everything to a typical Lego shape, I guess, because Lego is quite squarey. I like the different angles we can add with different elements, and a lot of Lego ships are quite curvy. Lego, I will admit, are somewhat cheating with this. Lego are inventing, anytime they need an angle fill, just take a look at the skiff. They invent a piece that does just that rather than trying to, and historically they have done it a lot. We have a load of photos, me and my fiance, from the last time we went to Legoland in Windsor, which is really, really fun. If you get the opportunity to go, definitely go. I don't think they have the Star Wars thing anymore. I think the last time we went was when they were taking it down. So they had a few of them in the Lego store, but they got rid of their Star Wars thing because of some licensing with a Disney park. So they've probably not had it for like 10 plus years, but it just goes to show you the last time I went to a Legoland and, well, saw the Star Wars stuff. But we have some photos of it. I think they've had it up in the last, must have been the last 5 odd so years. But they built a lot of the Star Wars models, and they weren't minifigure scale. A lot of them were bigger than minifigure scale or smaller than to get like this giant city layout. But they built a lot of them with squared off bricks, and I miss that style of Lego. Look at this. So we've got, I think I do have the other Imperial dropship somewhere in this bag. Yeah, I don't think I'll be able to get it out today unless I can see it in the top. I think it's probably one of the first ones that I put in. But compare this to the first one. There's a video up comparing all 3 of them, so you can check that out. This is much sleeker, and even though it doesn't look like the Imperial dropship that we see in the Lego games, in the Star Wars games, I don't think we've seen it in the Lego games. It is a bit. It's a lot more curvy. It's a lot more sleek. Like they've tried to fill it in rather than using squared off bricks and plates. And most of these are still squared off bricks and plates, just because we've got the one at the underside cockpit piece at the front, and then this top one, we've got another one on the back. I'm not going to include the slopes, they are quite squared off, but then we have a few different elements on the side here. We have a handful of them. The cockpit can't be avoided. Could they have squared off the bottom? Maybe this is nitpicking, maybe this does not work, but something like the skiff, it's a lot of empty space, and it's not to do with actual space because they haven't used the space that it's been given. You get one minifigure in here, two if you do want to reenact a fight scene, and that is about it. There's a few different features for this, but they haven't used the space they saved by using these wedge plates. Perhaps this is more for a cost saving measure because it's less plastic and all that, but it's odd seeing where Lego have come from and what they're doing now and how far little bits like that, like with the, I don't know if I'm going to cough, burp or anything, so please forgive me for any of that, but I think they could definitely use a few more pieces to build things. I did it when I built the N1 microfighter. I've done it recently with, I think it was the Fang fighter, and taken one of those Technic parts that's like a 2x6 with the 2 bricks on it and just use the 3 parts instead of trying to hunt for that one specific part, because Lego do more so nowadays than they ever have, and they always have done it. Sometimes it can't be helped, but they tend to invent parts to say Lego are inventing many more parts nowadays than they ever were, and I do think at some point they're going to have to go backwards. They're going to have to get rid of a ton of different parts because there's only so many more parts they can make, and rather than growing with certain themes like Star Wars, like Batman, like Marvel, like Monkey Kid, like Ninjago, like Dreams is another one that's very new part heavy, and a lot of those parts like the Gilets are awesome parts. I really like the fact they're giving more minifigure accessories in Monkey Kid in Dreams, mainly Dreams. Gambit's card accessory throw thing can be used so many other places. They can add claws to it for a giant Dreams claw perhaps for season 3, and I definitely think there will be a season 3 of that. I just finished that the other day, actually. Really good show to have on in the background. Again, it's not like Clone Wars where you've got to be focused the whole time, but whilst I'm building something, whilst I'm editing a short or something like that, which I don't need my full attention for all of the time, I have to watch it back a few times to make sure I've made no mistakes. But having Dreams on in the background is it's one of those shows that you can just put on in the background, which I don't think you can say about many shows, but Dreams is definitely one of the shows. But all the new parts coming through in Dreams and Monkey Kid are really cool. Some of the parts coming through for these Technic builds, for Star Wars builds even. Besides cockpits, and I would like to see an update to the cockpit, mainly looking at the ETA, if we do get one next year. ETA, Delta, would love to see a new cockpit. And I'm really happy with all the new cockpits that we are getting. I'm pretty sure this set. I think this set came with a new color for this cockpit piece. I'm not entirely sure, but it's a fairly new cockpit piece anyway, even if it didn't. And I like them style of pieces, but it's the pieces that make it so you don't need the other pieces. And again, something like this, if it was to keep the cost down, that's fair enough, because it's a big piece and that's a load of Lego pieces that you'd be needing instead. But sometimes I just don't think it's entirely necessary, and it definitely can be avoided, if not just completely switched up. And like I said, you can definitely part that out instead. I think the new skiff has more parts to the side pieces. I don't know if it's more parts overall, but it definitely has some more parts going towards those angles, which is really nice. The problem being you've got the price tag with it, and that is purely because of the other sail barge coming out. But as well as Christoph says, we've spoken about one project in 60 minutes that I haven't finished. Let's get the other list. We've also got a few different short series. I'm not going to name them all, but I have tested a few things with shorts recently. Today, actually, I wrapped up my minifigure Monday. Not wrapped up the minifigure Monday. Minifigure Monday is still going to be thinging. It's still going to be a thing. Still going to be thinging. Minifigure Monday is still going to be thinging. Minifigure Monday is still going to be a thing going forward. But rather than taking a look at minifigures in my collection, I aim at making more custom minifigures. Now, that could be purist custom minifigures, that could be upgrading minifigures, or that could be redesigning torsos and stuff like that. I'm not quite sure exactly how far I'll go with it, but I'm looking forward to that because it means I get to make more customs. I was hoping to get 3 of them every Monday because 3-minute shorts, but it looks like YouTube are taking a while to roll out their 3-minute short system. So it might be a while before we actually get to 3-minute shorts. But either way, hopefully that can happen soon so I can make even more custom minifigures in the weekly slot. I could always go back to doing a few a week as well, maybe Monday, Wednesday, Friday sort of thing, because I have reduced how many shorts I am making now to Monday. I think Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then occasionally I'll whack one on Saturday or Sunday. Depends what I'm doing and if there is content to be made. But with the custom minifigures, we've also had, I think I did a questionnaire thing every Friday, and it's been like a week and a half since I've done one of them because I recorded the last one quite a bit early. But it might have even been over a week and a half. I can't remember now. But I've stopped that because I am answering questions. It's a bit like the old Q&As that I used to do. Perhaps we can do a future Q&A on a live stream. It'll look a bit better than this. I've just noticed how fish eye it looks. I don't know if it fish eyes anything if it's up too close. At least we know there is a brightness. That'll be handy. I mean, I probably won't use this camera again, but it's nice to know if I need a backup, this one's pretty good. But what was I saying about? But with the shorts, with the Q&As on the stream, I'm completely all over the place. But perhaps we can do a Q&A, something like this, a bit live, quiet time on a Monday. Not too many people, as you can see, some people staying up and some people starting their day. It's Monday. Most people are going to be working. Most people. Hello there, Juicy Cheese. Almost. We are an hour in, and I'll be going for. I'll probably run this up till 12. You know, so you didn't miss it completely. This will be available on demand, I guess, after the stream is up. But I'm happy to have you here live. We've got a few more people joining in now. But with the Q&As, as I was saying, I was speaking about a future Q&A live stream. This is an impromptu stream that I had a few sets to break down and thought I might as well go live. This isn't all the sets that I had to break down. So far, we've broken down 2 sets, and I've got this entire bag of Lego sets that has just been building up from videos. So hopefully this week, next week, it might take a few weeks, we'll get this breaking down. About to go to sleep, might as well watch me, have me on in the background at least. I'm trying to fall asleep. But with a future Q&A live stream, I'm definitely up for the idea where people can ask questions live. That's something I've got with a few of my other Q&As, about being able to ask questions live and having a platform where they can get live answers. And especially if it's just a simple question or two, popping in, asking the question, getting an answer, getting a straight answer, not having to wait around for a video. It's definitely my preferred way of a Q&A, or at least if I was on the question side. So perhaps there will be, once we've broken down all these Lego sets, there will be some sort of Q&A to precede it. And there'll be a few other things. I think in 2 weeks today, I've got a special stream plan. Nothing over the top special, but I'm going to have been away over the weekend, so I'm going to theme it in with that. And that's going to be really, really fun. We're going to actually be building Lego rather than breaking it down this week. Next week there will be an upgrade to the cameras, and I'll just settle in with a new equipment because, well, to be fair, I probably could keep going with this. It doesn't look terrible, but it's not perfect. It's not up to the video quality, and I would like to get it at least to there. So hopefully when the new stuff arrives, I can mess around with that sometime in the week. I could do a live stream. I don't think I will go live during the week. I think I'll try and stick it to Monday, and I will sort out the times at some point. I know Monday morning isn't the best. It's the best for me right now, but hopefully we will eventually start streaming over on weekends and Fridays. But I quite like how quiet this stream is for everyone. We've got people chiming in before they go to bed. We've had people drop in before they start their day and watch this with breakfast, which is quite fun as well. And it's nice and chill whilst we get seated, situated, and used to the whole streaming process. Because this is my first, it's my first stream on any platform. I think it is. I know I've chimed in with a few of my mate streams back when we were playing video games and stuff, but I didn't really have any input into that. So just whilst I'm getting used to it and breaking down sets, realistically, this is not for me. This isn't for the live stream. This isn't for the channel. This is just so I could break down sets and have to hold myself to it. I think once this set and the next set is broken down, 3 sets, I will then put these into the drawers and we'll get ready for next week. We should get a few more sets broken down next week. There's a lot of littler sets in there, but Christophsis isn't going to be happening in... Well, no, Christophsis is going to be happening. It's not the end of Christophsis, but the giant Christophsis mock that I had in mind isn't going to be happening anymore. We've said about a few shorts. D&D. I was going to get the D&D CMFs as well. I had, and well, how it would have come across in video is something completely different because it would have been a lot of energy. And originally I was going to take a few days break to get working on this, but I don't think the D&D CMF, I feel like everyone's already done so much for it. I was going to do this whole campaign in the city. Bit hard to do one person. Perhaps that could be a future live stream. That would be a really cool live stream, trying to get a few different people on and have this whole D&D campaign. But it's when you're buying not only enough minifigures for one series, but then a minifigure, because they all come with interchangeable heads, I wanted to get 2 full series. At that point, you might as well get a box with 3 full series of CMF characters, which I haven't done before, and that is a scary thought alone, because I know how big these boxes are. I've done it once with, there was a Star Wars keyring series with a bunch of different helmets. Kylo Ren's helmet, I think Darth Vader's helmet was on it, Boba Fett's helmet, and there was half a box. I bought half a box of them, and I think we got pretty much, we might have missed a few sequel trilogy. I don't think we got Phasma. I think we did get Kylo Ren, we did get Finn, and we got all the other helmets as well. We actually ended up whacking them on a Halloween tree. I know a load of people are used to seeing Christmas trees, but I wonder if anyone out there has had a Halloween tree. That was really, really fun. And that's something that we haven't done this year, but we are looking to do in the future. It's super random, but I like to find Lego pieces or minifigures that you are holding to see how tall you are. Oh, that's a good idea. I've seen there was someone on, I think it was Shorts. I don't really use any other platform other than YouTube, which I know is funny to say because I am here mainly on YouTube. I try to post over to Instagram and TikTok. TikTok's where I started, but that was mainly Funkos, and there's not as much on Instagram. On Instagram there is a little bit, but on TikTok especially, there's not as much as a community. But back to the measuring, there was someone that did it with, I think it was anything. I think they measure like doors, iPhones. A lot of the time, many people have iPhones, so they'd take something like a phone. My phone's quite big, so I'm not sure it works as well. But this is the A12. This is, so nothing fancy. I've had this for years, and it's definitely due an upgrade. I did get a notification. Maybe I can look at upgrading my phone this year, getting a better camera for videos to improve, because I record it on my phone. But you can see a brick separator. That's how big a brick separator is, and brick separator, probably about 3 brick separators tall. I'm going to say I'm 6 foot. My fiance would say that I'm 5'11" and a half, or 11 and then some, but I'm almost 6 foot, which goes to show how big everything else is around, I guess. I did initially have 3 shelves here, but when I got my standing desk, I had to remove the other shelf because I think the other shelf was not far off. About here, got around it up. Well, 5'11" and then some, so you might as well say 6 foot. It's easier to say 6 foot than 5 foot something. Or at least that's what I tell myself, to call myself 6 foot. But I don't know exactly how to. Well, a minifigure is about 1:45 scale. I say 1:45 scale. I've had a few people recently say it's technically 1:48 scale. I think the discrepancy is I include the hair, whereas if you weren't including the hair, it's 1:48 scale, and that is, well, that is based on. Let me get a minifigure that has quite flat hair. I don't know where my minifigure is. Here we go. I've got my sig fig in Lego that I've recently upgraded the hair and the head, so it actually does look a little bit like me. I'm not sure if we'll be able to get that on the camera. Okay, it's not focused, but at least the brightness has changed so you could see it a little bit. And this is 1:45 scale of me, because an average minifigure is meant to be 180 centimeters tall, which is roughly 6 foot. So I think it's close enough to say this is a minifigure scale version of me, which I've never thought of it like that before. So I guess you can have him by the members board. You won't be able to see him, but you know that he is there. And it is, I've never thought of that before. 1:45 scale version of me. I'm definitely going to bring that up next time. Next time the minifigure makes it to a video, I should definitely include myself in a few mocks, to be fair. Whenever I need a pilot, like for my Christmassy snow speeder, which I can bring out for a Christmas mock soon. But I definitely need to include myself in a few more. But yes, I am 6 foot. I don't know if I've said that on, I don't know if I've been, I must have been asked about my height at some point. I feel like it's one of those, it's not a basic question or anything like that, but it's one of the default questions. It's like height, and name is normally one as well. I mean, Master Moldy, it's in the channel name. Having your name as the channel name, or nickname at least. Moldy isn't my birth name, but it is the name that I use day to day, and it's what everyone else calls me. So feel free to call me Moldy. I guess you don't really need to say my name in the comments, because every comment is somewhat aimed at me. But that is another question that gets thrown around. Sometimes age as well. I'm old enough to remember Bionicle, but not old enough to have a full collection of it. So that puts me within a few years. I think I said in the video the other day when I was looking at the Lego bricks, I remember Primo, but I don't remember Quattro. So I just say it on it. But that puts me in a very early 2000s year, well, late 90s, early 2000s, I guess. But yeah, I wonder how many. I don't have that many ginger hair pieces, which is why I was so interested. There was a CMF carrot costume, I think it was, and it come with a really vibrant. We're not talking like Kenobi dark orange, but proper bright yellow hairpiece, and it's not. I think it's definitely it's a much more common color now than it ever was. You've got a few Marvel characters, I guess. You've got Lois Lane, you've got Batwoman, you've got Black Widow, you've got Pepper Potts, you've got Aldrin, Aldrin Killich, is it, from Iron Man 3? I don't know. If I remembered that, I'd be really impressed. And you've got like Kenobi, you've got quite a few Star Wars. Do you have a few Star Wars characters? I think we have a few Star Wars characters. Anyway, it's definitely a lot more common nowadays, which is really, really nice. But I wonder how tall a midi scale and then how tall short legs are. Because I know Carrie Fisher or Princess Leia is actually minifigure scale with short legs, which looks hilarious when you stand her up to someone like Yoda. And then Grogu is technically minifigure scale for Yoda, which is why when we got the Grogu build in a Lego set, loads of people were using that, myself included, in a few unseen mocks. I wasn't making videos at the time, but I did use it as a minifigure scale Yoda. And then we also have a minifigure scale R2-D2 as well that I picked up from Filoni Clones, and it's really cool. It's the only R2 I own with back printing because I haven't picked up the new one yet. But the astromech droids are technically minifigure scale. If you were to take off one leg and lean them back, then they're minifigure scale. It's something odd like that. So it's funny how the scale does line up. I've never thought of that. This is a 1:45 minifigure scale version of myself, which is even cooler now that I have it in my collection. With Christophsis, what are other unfinished projects? The whole point of this stream was me talking about unfinished projects, and so far I've had so much more fun talking about the X-Men Mansion. I thought it was going to be quite a depressing stream. Oh yeah, I'm never going to build this. I'm never going to build this. And it's turned out to be a blast. So thank you to everyone who has tuned in. We've got, I said about the D&D CMFs that I was going to buy 3 series. I don't think I will do. I will definitely reconsider doing a live stream campaign, which could be quite fun. It could be quite a bit of hassle, especially for like the second stream I have ever done, let alone on this channel. I guess this channel's really the only place I could have streamed, so I think it goes without saying that because it's the second stream on this channel, it will be the second stream ever. But I think that could be really, really fun. I love hassle. We've also got the Bricklink store, which I haven't stopped. The Bricklink store is still open. We have a ton. Perhaps I should have some sort of banner on the side advertising memberships. We've also got, there was something else we mentioned earlier that I forgot even earlier, so I don't think I'm going to try and remember it now. And then we've also got the Bricklink store as well. There are a few Star Wars minifigures, a few clone troopers up there, a few clone troopers, not a load of them, and they're not amazing prices. They're cheaper than the 6-month average, but they're not as cheap as I like them to be, if I'm honest. And that is just purely because they cost me so much to get in the first place. I've got to make some sort of profit for the store so that I can then use that money. I can then reimburse myself first off and then use the profit straight back into the store. I don't think I'm going to be taking anything out of the store because so far we've got like 20 minifigures over there on Bricklink. And if all of them sold, I tell you what I'll probably do is Bricklink. I will even myself out now. Everything I've put in will go back to Bricklink. Anything else, if I see a set on sale, then I'll probably try and profit from that. But everything right now in Bricklink, I think we've got 20 Star Wars minifigures. We've got a few Sabine Wrens. We've got a few 212s. These are all new minifigures. The Sabine Wrens, the 212s, and Sabine Wrens, the 212s. I can't remember what the other new minifigures are. We've got a few of these accessories because they came with Sabine and the 212. I opened one of these to get the new accessories into them, but we've got Rebel Troopers. These are the original 2000. Original? Are they original? These are the 2008 versions. I think they're the original Rebel Troopers. I think I have like 9 of them on the store. Someone didn't want a Yoda in their collection, but someone didn't have a Yoda in their collection, and I had a spare one, so I've listed this 2012 Yoda as well. We've got Sabine, we got 212, we got some 501st Troopers as well. They're the ones I'm forgetting from 2020. They're not new. The Yoda, the Rebel Troopers aren't new, and the Rebel Troopers I'm selling for as much as I picked up the pieces because I did part them out from a Bricklink store for a video and they had more, so I just ordered a ton more of them. But for Bricklink, I would like to get a few more minifigures, especially clone troopers, on the store at some point, and everything that they sell for. Thank you for putting the Bricklink store in the chat. I've completely forgot you could put links in the chat. My fiance is helping out moderating these streams and possibly every stream, to be fair. I've definitely got to set up some sort of wage for her if she's going to be sat watching these streams. But for Bricklink, I would like to get a ton more minifigures and possibly even sets. I don't know if sets would sell as well. I think pieces would probably sell better than sets. But it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But Bricklink, I am happy to call it even right now, and then any money it makes will go back into minifigures, and hopefully we can get a few more special deals in there, especially for popular minifigures. Ones that some people might have, but like Yoda, that doesn't show up in a load of sets. If you haven't picked up a Yoda set in 2012, if you didn't pick up the diorama in 2019, 2020, I think it was I'm going to say 2020 because I'm usually a year out. So if you didn't pick up that Yoda set, if you haven't picked up the latest Yoda shuttle, which might be retiring at the end of the year, so maybe I can grab a few of them Yodas to put on the store as well, because it is a slightly updated design to the 2012 one. I think the 2012 one is the Clone War. I think they're both the Clone Wars one, actually. I don't really know the difference between them. But any other minifigures you would like, let me know in the chat, let me know in the comments, and let me know really on any other video. If you think of a minifigure in a few weeks' time, let me know. I might not stock it straight away, but I am making sure to make a list. I think we've got minifigures like Grievous, which I did not realize how expensive Grievous was as a minifigure. I knew with the popularity, you were looking at quite a bit of money, but we're looking at so much money for Grievous. Hello there, the Great Snow Blizzard. That's a name I recognize from a fair amount of comments. It's nice to see a few different commenters pop up in the stream as well, because I don't know how YouTube notifies for live streams. And being my first live stream, I didn't advertise this. I probably could have posted a community post about this, but I guess at least now you know that this time next week there'll be a similar thing, and hopefully I can catch a few of you before you're off to work, before you're off to school, before you sleep, because I think that's what most people are going to be doing nowadays. Or nowadays, everyone does that every day. Well, most days. That's what people are going to be doing around this time. This is statistically the least common time for someone to be watching my content on YouTube. I think Monday gets more views than Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But there we go. Great Snow Blizzard off to sleep. Yeah, loads of people are sleeping. Loads of people are working. So have a good night, Great Snow Blizzard. And hopefully you can catch this on demand or have this in the background. 2 Grievouses. I got my Grievous from the Combat Speeder, but I regret not picking up the Grievous Starfighter that came with Grievous that I had from the Speeder. I'm pretty sure it was the identical one, the exact same one. We also had Kenobi from the Mustafar duel, and then we had the 212 Airborne. I really thought that 212 Airborne was going to come in a battle pack, and honestly, I'm still hoping for it next year. I am still hoping we get that 2020 style. 2020, maybe I should explain that a little bit. For those of you that might not know, 2020 style of Clone Troopers. As of 2020, we got the 501st Battle Pack, and that introduced, I think that stopped printing on the hips. I don't know if we got printing on the hips beforehand, but it also gave us toe printing. Toe printing was the big game changer because that brought it up to par for the minifigures at the time. And I think it was a while before we got the same treatment for Stormtroopers. I think we have toe printing now, but we got toe printing, which was the big change. And that's the sort of Clone Trooper, the same pattern that's continued ever since. There's been a few differences, like the helmet holes, and that is a whole nother conversation. Perhaps we can talk about that a little bit afterwards. But I do quite like the toe printing on the Clone Troopers. And it was, I think that was the last big change, toe printing. I don't think there's been anything else. But anyway, I'm still waiting for the 212 Airborne. I actually got a custom. Again, next week I'll have a much clearer camera. Perhaps I can even set up this one for a close-up on the desk so I can show off things like minifigures. I have got a 212 Clone Trooper Airborne, which I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I do pop off the heads of my minifigures as well. I think it just looks so much sleeker without seeing the skin tone underneath. Perhaps I should just try and get a bunch of black heads for my minifigures. But I've got this custom 360 printed minifigure, which is amazing. I mean, the detail on this is crazy. I got this from Filoni Clones. I've done a few videos on it as well. If you search, I think if you search 90 on my channel, it comes up with that video and my Firestar Toys video. One was 90 minutes and the other was 90p. So it's a quick way to find either one of those videos. And it does look really, really cool. But I would still like an official Lego version to go alongside it. With Grievous, it's one of those minifigures that if you did pick him up, and the combat speeder, I think the combat speeder was a 20-something pound set, so you could actually get that set for cheaper than you can now pick up the actual minifigure, which is crazy. The window as well that came with it is a really good window. I think it's the last time we've got an affordable prequel trilogy window, because we got the fighter tank, or fighter tank was by no means an affordable set because of what it came with, but it was a pretty good set, I will admit, especially if you could find it on a sale, which was hard to do. I don't know if it was a Lego exclusive here in the UK, but it was an exclusive to somewhere that doesn't usually have sales. It might have been like an Entertainer exclusive or something, and they were going through a rough patch. But the Windu minifigure was really, really cool in that set. The Grievous minifigure, both of them, if you stocked up on that set, you would be absolutely rolling in it, and would probably, well, I don't think you'd want to get rid of any of Grievouses, because you could recreate that prequel meme of Grievous with like a million lightsabers around that just builds up every single day. But that would be very, very, very expensive to do without that set. It is interesting how much the speeder as well has gone up, because it's purely just for the minifigures. But that's the thing with minifigures as well. I saw what did I say? I can't remember who it was. Again, when this is turned into a video with all the highlights, hopefully I can credit as many of these people as I can, as many of these creators. But I saw someone open a Clone Army Customs custom printed Stormtrooper kit. I think it was their Commander Fox that they did when the gunship came out. Actually, it might have been a while ago. But when they opened it and had a look, when they put the legs on the torso, because they came parted out, as many sets do, I tend to do it with my minifigures as well. If they're new elements, I don't push them together, because Lego does have the chance of breaking. They broke, and I don't know what you do there. With an older minifigure, you can contact Lego, and it'd be interesting. Lego's customer service is amazing. Honestly, the only other customer service that I can think is anywhere near that is, ironically enough, Floney Clones. I don't think there's another brick company that actually will replace bricks and send you. Maybe there will be some, but there's none that I have found so far. So hopefully I can come across them in the future. And it was what was there was a piece that the red spaceman, because of the fading on the torso. I got in contact with someone from Lego. I think they were dealing with another issue of mine at the time. I think it was actually one of the hair pieces from my Harry Potter sets missing. But I got into contact with them and asked, because I have an old 70s spaceman with a faded torso, would there be any way I could get a new torso? Because it's technically a new design. It's not the piece. It's not broken. It's just faded over time. And they were like, sure, and just sent me a brand new piece. So not only did I pick this up because it was faded, I think it was only like a $5 with the original set. And it is a really cool set, because it's this space digger, and all the pieces are here. It's come in pretty good condition, no cracks, none of that. Probably a little discolored. It's the old grey, so you can tell the difference between the new and the old grey. And you can also see, I think the older space logo is a bit higher up on the torso. It's printed very close to the top. Perhaps it's just inconsistently printed in general. But I picked this up for a $5, and they sent me a brand new torso. So I went straight on Bricklink, ordered a helmet, air tanks, and all the other parts. And I now have a pristine condition spaceman, which really Lego didn't have to do. And it's not to say if you have some old Lego that's broken, they'll replace it. If there is a similar piece, it'd be interesting, because there is a Mace Windu, I think, in the UCS set still. I don't know if you heard that noise. There was just a big vibration from who knows where. There's the fighter tank, I think, has retired. There is the Mace Windu from the UCS gunship. I don't know if they'd replace it with one of those torsos. It's always worth asking, to be fair. If you just message into Lego, the worst they can say is no, and you're just left off with what you started off with. So it's definitely worth an ask. The customer service is amazing, but it does suck when you break an old minifigure. I noticed one of my non-Star Wars minifigures don't tend to crack, but one of my non-Star Wars, Frodo. My Frodo minifigure has a cracked torso. I have not touched this minifigure since I placed it in the city, I'm pretty sure. But the other day I noticed there's a crack right up the left-hand side. So I'm definitely not going to be touching it, or at least not touching that left arm anytime in the near future, because it does suck when an old minifigure like that cracks. But I wonder if I got into contact with Lego, I'll probably have to see if I can get a replacement Frodo torso. But it's awkward because you have to go through the person, because the set hasn't been, well, that's from the Gandalf Arrive set, the one with the horse and the car. So that is 10, 15 years old at least, because the Lego Lord of the Rings theme hasn't been around for at least a decade. But I wonder if Lego would replace Frodo's torso. That's something that I definitely got to ask. So it'll be intriguing to see if they would do it for Window or Frodo. I'll keep you updated with that. I'll put out some sort of community post, or perhaps I can even make a video about the community service. The customer service even. Because I think Lego does get a load of slack for things like customer service when staff members, I don't really see it in any of the stores that I go into, because there's only a handful around London and that area that I usually pop into. But especially around America and Europe, where there's a load more Lego stores in such a tight-knit area, I feel like sometimes if a staff member doesn't go all the way out of their way, they get slammed because this store's better. And I do think that is a problem with the competitive nature of it. Stores want to be the best at everything. And a lot of times, especially during rush hour or busy times, it's going to be pretty hard to do. But I think Lego do an amazing job, I have to say, with their customer service. I've not had a bad experience with any staff in store. The extent of my bad experiences is not finding the piece I want on the BAM station or the pick-a-brick wall, which even then, I'd never ask about the pick-a-brick pieces, because I know that Lego store employees do have some sort of builds usually at the front of the store, and they will take it down if you need the pieces from it. And I feel bad asking for those pieces, so I end up looking on Bricklink or something like that. I thought we'd finished. We hadn't finished. I tell you what, I'll keep streaming until I've broken this one down, and then I'll try and part all these out into the drawers. It'll probably take me another half an hour or so, but I can leave this rendering in the background. So it's ready to edit once I am done. But I've never had a bad experience with the Lego store. I think you'd have to go out of your way to have a bad experience, because a lot of the staff there are friendly, and you don't know what's going on behind the scenes for them. You know, they might be going through a rough day, but they never let it show, which I think is really cool. It does take some willpower to be able to do stuff like that, but it is really cool. Oh, the fighter tank was a Walmart exclusive, so it might have been the Walmart, because Walmart exclusives you'd think are Asda exclusives over in the UK, as they're similar stores and all that, but Asda doesn't tend to have many exclusive sets. The only Asda exclusive set I can ever remember is the Mandalorian and Grogu brickheads, and that was right before Lego. I don't know if it was the success of the brickheads with Funkos and that, but I think you need to be one of a kind to be a happy worker in retail. That is true, and I work the night shift, so I didn't even have to deal with any of the people. It's not the funnest of jobs, especially, I suppose, probably the night shift. I don't know if it'd be better or worse, because you've got no people around you, but then that's less problems. But with the Asda's exclusive, that was the brickheads, which are now exclusive to Lego stores, which I found out last year, which explains why I haven't seen them in like a Smith's at all, or haven't seen them anywhere for the last couple of years. All right, I know I've seen this piece before. There we are. But I think they're Amazon exclusives. I think Walmart exclusives are meant to be Amazon exclusives. Oh, sales type. Well, thankfully, I worked in a Sainsbury's. I didn't sign an NDA, I'm pretty sure, leaving. I'm allowed to talk about my work. Hopefully, don't come for me, Sainsbury's. But I worked in a Sainsbury's, which is really nice, because there were quite a few Lego deals. And I did get, I think, for working in Sainsbury's, I think you get like 5% back. You get 10% back on own brands, but 5% back on, this is also something that a load of people ask for Q&As, but I haven't been asked this about what I did before I was doing Lego on YouTube, because I've sort of just pushed myself into full time. I've got a few other things like with Brickable, obviously I'm not living just off the YouTube salary cut income, which sounds really weird to say YouTube salary, but it is technically my salary that I'm earning month to month, and Lego does help a lot with that. But with Sainsbury's, with the night shift, we closed about an hour into my shift, and then we opened. Well, we were meant to open as I was leaving, I think. I did 10 hours overnight with an hour break. I was only working 9 hours of it. We weren't doing anything immoral or any of that. But yeah, it was interesting because I'd always have something on in the background, and it was almost like when I was building. So before I turned on the camera and decided to stream me breaking down sets, what I'd usually have is some sort of content, some sort of long form video. And I tell you what, Brixie's videos are really good because he posts pretty much every other day. Normally I'll fall 2-3 days behind purposely so that we've got like an hour-long special of Brixie. And Shy does Shy Time Is My Time has a podcast, Sitting on a Stoop. If you are a fan of Lego and the people in Lego, it's a really interesting podcast. There is a ton of episodes, actually. So if you haven't watched them already, you've got a whole catalogue ready waiting for you. Sitting on a Stoop, go check it out. It is really cool. And I normally have them in the background when I'm building, when I'm breaking stuff down. And that's honestly the only reason I use paper instructions, so that I can have some sort of podcast or something on the screen. And that's sort of what I did when I was working. I just had music in my ears. Sometimes it was the radio, sometimes it depended who was on the radio at that point, because I did Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I did Friday into Saturday, Saturday into Sunday, Sunday into Monday. And it was interesting doing it on the weekends because you'd expect that to be busy. But Sundays, I think Sunday nights we closed early, because not very early. We were still open more than I think a retail store should have been. There were a few stores around that were 24/7. Sunday, Monday, Friday, didn't matter what day it was 24/7. But we were living in London at the time, so a lot more places tend to be 24 hours because there are more people staying out a lot later and into early hours of the morning. Thankfully, we did shut at some point. But I just have music in my ears and yeah, just run out the night, I guess. I don't really remember much of it because it's a very repetitive job. I had to stack shelves, and usually you'd stack like 2 odd shelves throughout the entire night, because you were basically, during the day they didn't stack anything. The day workers weren't hired to stack. That was night shift, purely night shift. They'd top up shelves if they were empty and little bits like that off the overhead, but they was basically on night shift to stack, which I think works a bit better because they had fewer staff during the day, and it also meant that they were able to focus more on the customers' needs, even, which, if a customer was asking something that hour before we closed, half of the night shift staff would have no idea where to look for it. Oh, haven't quite finished. So yeah, it was an interesting job, I think. It was a lot of just music in my ears and head down working, stacking shelves. You got the knack for it after a while. Whoops. You got the knack for it after a while and would know certain boxes can be opened in a certain way to make it really easy to stack. Like, rather than trying to open up a box and take each of them out on the shelf, what you could do is, I've still got my tool actually. 2 tools that you really need for Lego building is a box opener. Well, I suppose not for Lego building. Lego building, I do have a hammer. It's optional, completely optional, and it's only because I 3D printed it that I do have it. I can't remember who it was. Someone had a TPU hammer, and I thought, well, I could print one of them. Did that. But 2 tools you need for keeping, maintaining, and building a Lego collection is a makeup brush, which I do have my name signed on mine. Something cool that you don't see every day. A personalized makeup brush, and also a box opener. This is my one from my night work. And what you do is just tear open the back of the box, and then you just would say open the front and the back. If you've ever cooked a hard-boiled egg, you might know this technique where you crack both ends of the shell and like blow the egg out. I guess it's really odd explaining that if you don't know what I mean, because you're just cracking two holes in an egg. But either way, tear open the front of the box, tear open the back of the box, and then you just be able to push the product through the cardboard box. If it is a cardboard box, it's the reason I like cardboard boxes more than plastic bags. The plastic bags were a nightmare to deal with, but you just push it through the box, it'd be on the shelf. And next one, the big problem was if you had a half stacked shelf, because then you have to take a few of them out, but it still end up going a lot quicker. But I'm falling quite a bit behind on the chat here. Let me read through. Damaged Mace Window, we got that. The Fighter Tank being a Walmart exclusive. Yeah, I think if it's available on Amazon, perhaps it was an Amazon exclusive to the UK, but I know Amazon exclusives in the UK are different to Europe as well. It's a whole confusing. I think the Ghost was an Amazon exclusive because I almost got that in a Prime Day discount, a Prime Day deals, and then I ended up finding a better deal on Lego using a few points. And I mean, the more money you can save on Lego, the better, really. But we've got Duel of the Fates. Duel of the Fates diorama was that was quite a good diorama, and I somewhat regret that I broke it down, but at the same point, because I'm building hallway scenes. If you haven't kept up with the dioramas, they've been dotted all around. I haven't done a diorama I did the mall one like a month or so ago, but I am still working on all the hallway dioramas, and I would like to get one based off the games out as well. I think that's a good way to wrap it up, but I am going to start to cycle through, because there's a few like my Tantive diorama. I'm probably going to keep my Tantive diorama built, I'd say forever. I said that about Mos Eisley and then made it modular. I don't think I'm going to make a modular Tantive tower, but you never know. I might do something for Alderaan as well, because we do have a few more spots that I could take up. But the Duel of the Fates diorama is definitely one I'm going to revisit, because that was so fun with the door mechanism and Maul's lightsaber in his left hand, which I remembered when I was doing the Gonk video. When I was filming the Gonk video, I had Maul's saber in his right hand, and there's actually a deleted clip from that of me taking it from, I switched it into his left hand because it just looked a bit better. And then when I was recording the video, I moved it from his left hand into the right hand of the Gonk. And then I realized that it technically goes in his left hand, and being left hand, well, ambidextrous myself, but I would class myself, if anything, as a left-handed person, a left-handy, but I am ambidextrous, so I can use both hands, which is really helpful when it comes to Lego building. Not as helpful as you think, because I suppose most people are probably ambidextrous when it comes to Lego. There's not exactly a hand that you put down the Lego with, but like a brick separator, I've got it in my left hand at the minute, but I can just as easily use it in my right. But the Great Snow Blizzard left-handed as well. It's nice to see some left-handed people, because I feel like even though quite a bit of the population is left-handed, it's not the sort of thing we were talking about. Common questions and age, height, name, previous work. They're all quite common questions. What hand do you use is, well, it usually depends on the specific task at hand, funnily enough. But it's not that sort of question that gets thrown around, because I still think most people assume everyone stereotypically is right-handed, because I still think most people, even if it is just by 1%, most people probably are still right-handed. It's the way that you get taught a lot in schools. In my primary school, I was ambidextrous. I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing that wrong, but that meant I could use either hand. And then when it got to getting your pen license, which is when you go from pencil to pen, honestly, if I had the option, I wouldn't have got my pen license. I'd have stuck writing in pencil until forever. And I did go back to using pencil, but when I got my pen license, I had to pick a hand to write it in, because they have to test how good you were. And my writing isn't exactly the neatest, so they wanted me to focus with one hand, and I picked left because everyone else was writing in right. Not everyone. There were probably a handful of people, but most people write in right-handed. So I wanted to be a bit different, left-handed, picked left. And then when I got to secondary school, they sat they sat me on two corners because I was mainly left-handed and wrote on my left. So I always had space to the left-hand side of me. And I kept writing left-handed because I had the space to write left-handed and didn't have to fight with anyone to the other side of me. So it's interesting how I've stuck with my left hand, but I can use either hand to write. My right hand is a bit messy. My right hand writes like I'm still all the way back in year 6, whereas or in middle school, year 6, middle school. I don't remember the American system, but like I was 10 odd years ago, a bit more than 10 years ago. Let's not think about that. But I can write with both hands, just not as neat as not as neat as the left hand, at least. We've gone through mace damage. Yeah, I'll definitely get into contact with Lego about Mace Windu because I'm intrigued to see if they would replace Frodo's torso here. I'm not going to ask for like a new head, a new legs. The legs do look pretty cool actually on the new figure. I have to get them on Bricklink or something as well. But it'd be interesting to see if they would replace the torso because it's somewhat the same and it does sort of line up. But Frodo's torso is exclusive to a really expensive set. And I guess if someone was just to say about it, I mean, with the Red Spaceman, I think I provided a photo. Because it was over emails, I was able to send in a photo with it to show that it was faded. So they'll probably ask to see a photo of it just to make sure you're not scamming them. But there was another piece I asked for, and they didn't ask to see any proof of it. But perhaps it's because I'd already done it. And yeah, I guess if you were doing this more often, they'd probably catch on. But it's definitely going to be really, really interesting. So I'll keep you up to date on that when it goes. And thrift stores. Oh, I've just seen Juicy Cheese's comment on thrift stores, and there's a store that I passed when I went to Southend purely to record the video of picking up a magazine because none of the stores near me had it. I saw a store, can't remember the name of it, but I saw a store and they have Lego. They have a big Lego sign in the window, and I might go visit them and see what they got in store. I had a little look online. It doesn't look like anything special. It's nothing that I'm rushing to get. And the images are a bit old. So I don't know if they're freshly retired sets, if they have any old sets. It'll be interesting to see if they have any secondhand sets that people may have donated because they do look like a really cool toy store. And they also have a ton of Funkos. And if you aren't aware, I do have, you can't see it on the stream, but this little square of the unit here has all my favorite Funkos. We got Thrawn, we got Ahsoka, we got a load of Clone Wars ones, and the Force Ghost from Return of the Jedi. And that's only just scratching the surface. My wardrobe, I've showed it off in a few videos. I think I must have 300-400 different Funkos in my wardrobe. So maybe I can show them off. Maybe I can get them out at some point. I really don't have the space to display them. But let's run through the chat before we end up the stream. I've now broken down all 3 sets. It's a little over 12:30. I think we've been going for almost 2 hours. I say I think. We've been going for about an hour and 50 minutes. It says at the top of my screen. So thank you to the 4 people that are still sticking around. And 7 people have liked it. Completely forgot. Be sure to drop a like on. I'm rubbish with liking videos. I will genuinely like a video, as in I'll enjoy it. And I'll completely forget to hit like because I've got autoplay on and I cycle to the next one. So I completely forgive you if you forget to like the stream. But do like it, even if you're coming back and watching this as a video. And if you are coming back watching this as a video, let me know in the comments. Let me know what you are up to because it's nice to see if anyone else is breaking down any Lego sets in the future. We got to the thrift store. The Rock Raiders. Oh, I picked up when I went to a convention earlier this year. One a Lego one. I've made note of all the Lego ones for next year so I can plan a bit ahead because a lot of them you have to buy tickets for. But I went to a little school convention near me. It wasn't a school convention. That sounds a bit odd. It was a convention at a school for a load of local people. They were raising some money for a few things as well. I found some of the Power Miner minifigures I didn't have. Power Miners, I had pretty much all but one set, I think, from the first wave growing up. Never got the second wave because I was getting more Star Wars sets at that point. But I was missing two or three minifigures, I think, and I'm missing quite a few of the parts from the other minifigures, and I managed to get all but more or less one of them. I've got a few headpieces that I'm still missing, so that's definitely something that I can go check out a few conventions. And that, I think, in the UK, to talk about what Great Snow Blizzard is commented about 10 minutes ago about the longest shift being a 10-hour. I think in the UK, the longest shift you can do for a retail store is 10 hours, and they only get away with the hour-long break. I think you're only actually allowed to work up to 9 hours unless there are some special requirements and special things about it. It's the same for, I watched a thing on truck drivers, and they can only drive for so long, which is why so many truck front bits have beds in them so they can actually sleep on the road, which must be scary. But I guess if you've got a Lego set and a little shelf to display it on, it definitely can be fun. But yeah, this stream has been really cool for the first one. I'm definitely going to come back next week, and again, hopefully we can get a few more sets. I was going to break down this flower gift with purchase here. I actually really quite like it, having it in the background and having it for the thumbnail as well. It does look really cool, and I've noticed it's the same size as the members board. Perhaps we can add a little flower pot for the members. I'll tell you what, we could just take the whole trellis bit off the back, the little grate on the back here, remove that, add the white board for the members, because I think it's the same size. It actually fits perfectly on top. That would be really cool. We can add the members board onto the trellis. Again, memberships are £1 base membership. You get access to the Discord where we have a few conversations. We talk about leaks, and I guess it could also be quite handy for the streams. I can probably pull a few ideas from the members Discord that I think will be interesting to talk about. That will be happening next week. And what do members get? Exclusive behind the scene videos. There'll be another one coming out soon. I'm going to work on that. I'll probably do it actually today, depending on how this stream wraps up and how easy it is to edit this down to like a 10, 15, half an hour, minute video, half an hour, minute, a 30-minute video. I will probably get another one recorded today. A little bit behind the scenes of the channel, which is always fun to go into. Also, early projects. There are images on YouTube of a 3D printed project that I'm hoping to show off in probably about 6 weeks' time, 6 to 8 weeks' time here on the channel. So if you want to get a look at that early, definitely consider becoming a member. And to wrap up the chat, we've got the left-handed ready for me. I mean, it's definitely, I feel like with the left-handed, right-handed conversation, you are going to be as good as you've trained to be. A lot of people get taught right-handed, and especially if you've got right-handed parents, you're probably going to be encouraged to pick up a pen in your right hand, to pick up a tennis racket in your right hand, to pick up anything in your right hand, because you do mimic. So it'll be intriguing to see. Perhaps I can try and teach myself to write right-handed, and that can be a little sub-theme going on in these streams. But yeah, it looks like we're mostly left-handed in the stream, which is nice to see. Perhaps we can have a left-handed stream at some point. No, I'm not going to block out anyone else, but I think I believe in the stream. Yeah, I think I'll wrap up the stream in a second. It has been lovely. Funkos and Brickheads is definitely a video that I'm thinking of doing, because I've made I don't have a Rex Funko, I don't think, actually, but I definitely want to get a Rex Funko. I've got a Rex Brickheads Ahsoka. Maybe I will do a comparison between them in a future video. I mean, that is a really good idea, because Brickheads is the Lego equivalent of Funko. And the best thing about the Brickheads is the exclusive piece. Like we said earlier on, this was probably about an hour and a half ago. So to bring it full circle, wrap up the stream with something we were talking about earlier, with the postcards and the architecture sets and the exclusive pieces that make them worth the money. That is what you're paying for Brickheads. You've got some like Stitch. Stitch you could probably part out. I think Stitch is a character that most of us love anyway, so we are going to pick it up, especially my fiance, so we had to pick up that one. But a load of the other Brickheads, you are picking it up for the exclusive pieces. The detailing on Ahsoka's Lego face. You've got Maul as well. You've got Jedi robes. You've got the Mandalorian's chest plate. That's what you're picking it up for, similar to the architecture sets. The White House, for instance, I'm pretty sure the White House had some printed windows on it. Little bits like that, the American flag. And yeah, that's what you're paying for in Brickheads. But then again, that's what you're paying for anywhere. The printing, the colors, the instructions to get it to be as they are. And I sell my instructions on Rubricable as well, which helps towards a few mocks. I am working on a mock right now. Before I wrap up the video, I just want to share, I am working on a mock. It's been a while since I've done it hasn't been that long. It's been like 2 weeks, but it feels like it's been ages because of everything else I've got done. It is using the Snub Fighter. It might be the final. I might push it for one more, but we've already done like 5 different mocks with it. So I'm working on a mock with the Snub Fighter, and that is what you've got to look forward to. Don't forget to drop a like on this video, and I think we'll wrap up the stream as I do every video. May the bricks be with you always. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a good rest of your day wherever you are. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next week.